Welcome back, everybody, to Photography Tips and Tricks, your show for gear tips, inspiration, anything that you need to get your photography over to the next level. My name is RC, and I wanted to talk to you about kids and creative presets, right? Just a little bit of camera, a little bit of non-camera stuff. So why don't we go ahead and start with the creative preset idea. A lot of the times, I appreciate a lot of the different work that goes into camera technology, and I try to use it as much as I can at the point of capture when I want to see something. So the best example of most of this stuff is your ability to be able to change presets inside of a camera. Now, here you have the Canon 5D Mark III. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to use the Q mode on the camera so that you can take a look at something here. So we'll go ahead and we're going to switch over to the Q mode, and you can see that we'll have different settings. So you have aperture priority, ISO, and all of that kind of stuff. What I want to do is I want to go over here to this one section that says standard, right? Once I have that set, I'm going to press the center button, and you're going to notice that you have a set of picture styles, right? Auto, standard, portrait, landscape, neutral, faithful, monochrome, and then banks that you can keep to yourself. You'll also notice that as you work with these individual ones, you have the option to go in here and you press the info button on the Canon and you can set detail here. So now you can increase or decrease the sharpness of when you're working with that. You can increase or decrease the contrast. You can go ahead and you can bring in saturation and color tone. So you have the option to kind of move these and manipulate these a little bit more creatively so that you can see the shot in the back of the camera and make adjustments so that the better you have it in front of you, the better the shot is right off the bat. So now you're just kind of painting and creating inside of the camera itself. So something as simple as just going into that Q mode, accessing those modes from inside of here, I think would be something that's pretty good, right? You could go in here and you notice you have a couple of different banks that you can use right from this one section. So we have, you have monochrome, you have faithful, you have vivid, you had all of those, but what about those other two banks, right? So go inside of here, we'll switch over to these banks here, user defined, right? You go to the info section, you can set this and you can give it a specific picture style. So let's say, what if you want to shoot monochrome and you want to shoot really sharp, really contrasty, you want a filter effect, right? So you want to be able to block out oranges and you want a tone. So now when you shoot that shot is going to be very, very different. So I'm going to try to see if I could go over the fourth wall and just make that shot. Well, good, and we'll take that picture and we're going to go ahead and try to play it. So now you'll see that that shot looks very different, right? So I can make adjustments to that. And it's all about being creative at the point that you need it to be creative. Now, take a look at this. I've done that on the Canon. I'm going to go ahead and switch over here to the Nikon D810. Now, I'm going to plug this in, and once we have this, let's see, up and running here, go ahead and turn this on. We're going to hit the menu section. So now we've plugged in the Nikon D810. Let's go ahead and take a look at the picture control here. We'll go to the picture control. Notice that you have standard, neutral, vivid, monochrome, portrait. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to monochrome, and inside of here, you can choose sharpening, the amount of clarity you can boost up, give it a little bit more contrast. There's your filter effect, so you can block out or allow specific things, and then you have your toning. So you can even take it specifically here and split different types of toning. So you'll notice you're moving stuff around there. So I think that that happens to be really, really cool. Now I wanted to show you kind of the effects of what we're doing here, because there's one thing to keep in mind. When you're working with this, what you're doing is you're changing the raw file, and sometimes that information will not translate over when you're doing this inside of Lightroom. So right now, this raw file, this is the one that we were working with, right? So that's just a standard file that we have there, and it looks like it's a little bit down, so I'm gonna just bring that up so you can kind of see that, right? That was the vivid portrait mode. Now, what if I don't necessarily want that vivid portrait mode? What if I want something else? Take a look at this. So now I've used that creative portrait mode to be able to get something interesting right inside of the camera, and I can make those adjustments from there. So make sure that you experiment with something like that. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, there's a second section to this where I'm talking about just children's photography and how to kind of be ready for that moment. Make sure that you take a look at the link down at the bottom follow us over at Kelby1 and you can see the rest of the show. For the rest of you guys, we'll see you guys when we come back here on Photography Tips and Tricks.